So starting at the top of your head and just really paying attention to how your head feels on the floor today. And if you want to just like gently just move your head a little bit from side to side and just see how your neck feels. And then from your head and your neck, moving into your shoulders. How do your shoulders feel today? Do they feel even? Hi, Deanne. We're just doing a body scan, so laying flat on the floor. There's my Auntie Linda's just joining in now too. So after you've felt through your shoulders, moving down through your arms, how do your arms feel today? Taking notice of how you have them laying. Are they laying on the floor? Are you holding them on your chest? Are your palms down? Are your palms up? And then moving from your arms back into your torso. And coming down through your torso and into your belly and into your back. How do they feel today? Does your back feel comfortable on the floor? Does it feel tight? Does it feel relaxed? And moving from your back to your hips. How do your hips feel today? Do they feel even? Does one side feel maybe heavier than the other or lighter than the other? And moving from your hips down through your legs and all the way down to your feet. Just take a couple deep, nice deep breaths. And when you're ready, we'll start by bending our knees and putting our feet flat on the floor. And I always like to start my floor work with a few flattens and tilts just to get our core warmed up. So remember to do these movements very small and very controlled on the release. So we'll start with the flatten. So I want you to think of bringing your pubic bone to your ribs and your ribs to your pubic bone as you flatten your low back into the floor. Hold for just a moment and super, super slow, begin to release the contraction in your belly. Slow and smooth. When you've finished releasing the contraction in your belly, make sure to rest. And then we're going to go into the tilt. So you're going to think of rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor as you gently tilt your low back off the floor. Just a really small little tilt. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to release. Slow and smooth with control, releasing your hips. And when you've finished releasing, make sure to rest. And then we're going to go into flatten again, bringing the pubic bone towards your ribs and your ribs down to your pubic bone as you flatten your back into the floor. Hold for a moment and super, super slow. Begin to release the contraction in your belly as you slowly, slowly come back to your neutral, relaxed position. And make sure to rest. And then going into the tilt again. So gently rolling your tailbone down and forward into the floor as your low back, small little lift off the floor as your hips tilt forward. Hold for a moment. And super, super slow, releasing the contraction in your low back as you slowly let your hips come back to their neutral, relaxed position. When you finish that one, make sure to rest. And then we're going to put those two movements together. So we're going to start with the flatten again and pulling your pubic bone to your ribs to your pubic bone as you flatten your low back. Hold for just a moment. Super slowly begin to release the contraction in your belly. Slow and smooth as you can, really working to smooth out that release. And when you're at the end of the release, you're going to go straight into the tilt, gently tilting by rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor. Hold for just a moment and super slowly begin to release the tilt in your back. As you slowly bring your hips and your back into their neutral rested position. At the very end of that release, you're going to go back into flatten again. Bringing your pubic bone to your ribs and your ribs towards your pubic bone as you flatten your low back. Belly muscles tighten. Hold for just a moment. Super slowly begin to release the contraction in your belly. Slow and smooth. And when you're at the end of the release in your belly, going back into tilt, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor as your low back arches off of the floor. Holding for just a moment. And super slowly begin to release the contraction in your low back. Slow and smooth as you can. And when you're at the very end of that release, going into the flatten again, bringing your pubic bone towards your ribs towards your pubic bone as you flatten your low back into the floor. Hold for just a moment and super slowly begin to release. And then going back into the tilt again, gently tilting your tailbone, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor as your low back arches off the floor. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to release. And at your own pace now, I want you to repeat that 2 more times. So 2 more tilt forward and 2 more flattens. And as you guys are doing that super slow and smooth, I'm going to go let my dog in who's scratching like a maniac at the door. Okay, so when you finish that one and without rushing, make sure to rest. And then we're going to make this movement just a little bigger now by adding in a little bit more in our upper torso. So this time we're going to start with the arch and we're going to add in an inhale. And as you arch this time, I would like you to roll your arms out so that your palms are facing up. So inhale and arch, gently tilting your tailbone forward, rolling your arms out so that your palms are facing up, and let your head tilt back. And also let your jaw open softly. Hold for a moment. Exhale, super slowly begin to release that contraction. So slowly letting your arms roll back to palm facing down, slowly releasing in the back of your neck, and slowly releasing the tilt in your back. Super slow and smooth as you can. And when you've finished releasing the contraction in your back, You're going to go into flatten by bringing your pubic bone to your ribs to your pubic bone. And this time, let your arms roll inwards towards your body. They may even lift off the floor a little bit if that's comfortable for you. Where you're going to notice the contraction is in your chest as your shoulders come towards each other. And gently tilt your head forward in this flatten. Hold for just a moment and begin to slowly release. Super slowly letting your arms begin to roll back out, slowly releasing in your head and neck, super slowly releasing in your tummy muscles. And when you're at the end of that release, going back into the tilt by gently tilting your tailbone forward into the floor, rolling your arms outwards again so your palms are facing up, tilting your head back, letting your jaw open softly. Hold for a moment. Slowly begin to release. Super, super slowly letting your arms roll back towards your body. Slowly releasing the tilt in the back of your neck. Slowly releasing the contraction in your low back as your hips come back to neutral. Super slow and smooth. And when everything is released, going into the flatten again, bringing your pubic bone towards your ribs to your pubic bone, rolling your arms inwards, squeezing gently in the shoulders as they come towards each other, and tucking your chin forward. Hold for just a moment, and super, super slow, begin to release. Slowly with control, releasing in your pectorals as your shoulders begin to roll open. Slowly releasing in your tummy muscles. As slow and smooth as you can. And when you're at the end of that release, going back into your tilt and arch again, gently rolling your tailbone forward into the floor, rolling your arms open so your palms are up, tilting your head back, letting your jaw open softly. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to release. Slow as you can, releasing in the back of your neck, and slowly releasing in your arms as they begin to come back towards your body, slow and smooth, releasing in your back. And when everything is back to the neutral position, make sure to rest. And when you've finished that one, without rushing, we're going to roll over onto our bellies. And once you're laying on your belly, I would like you to have your left arm laying down long beside you, and your right arm will be bent up by your face. So you're going to be like this, if you guys can see me. So you'll be resting your left cheek on the back of your hand, and you'll be looking towards your right elbow. So your left arm is laying beside you, your right arm is bent, and your face is resting on the back of your hand. Now, before we start this one, it's called over the shoulder, by the way. I like two things. One, I want you to remember not to do this too big, especially in the leg lift. It doesn't need to come very high off the floor. And also remember that as you're lifting your head, chest, and elbow, think of like your head and your arm are connected, and you're going to be just gently looking over the shoulder. So it's not just a lift, it's a lift with a little bit of a twist in it. I like to start this one on an exhale. So as you're laying flat, we're going to inhale first. Inhale. And exhale, you're going to lift your head, chest, and elbow as you gently look over your right shoulder, and at the same time, lengthen and lift your left leg. So you're lengthening and lifting the opposite leg. Remember, don't lift it very high. Just a small lift. Hold for a moment. And now super, super slow, begin to release. You should be looking towards your elbow. Did you want to unmute me, Mom?
No.
Oh, you're going to turn your head the other way, so you're looking at your elbow.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go. Perfect. Make sure to rest when you finish that one. And then we're going to repeat that one again. So laying flat, start with an inhale first. Exhale, gently lift your head, chest, and elbow, looking over your shoulder and lifting and lengthening the left leg. Hold for just a moment and super, super slow, begin to release. As slow and smooth as you can, letting your leg come back down to the floor and slowly lowering your head, your chest, and your elbow. And rest. We're going to do one more on this side, and this time I would like everybody to do it just a little smaller even. So as you're lifting, I want you to maybe lift to 75% as far as you did on the last one. So laying flat, start with the inhale first. Exhale, gently lift your head, chest, and elbow, lengthening and lifting the left leg as you gently look over your right shoulder. Hold for a moment and super, super slow, begin to release. Slow and smooth as you can, lowering everything back down to the floor. And when everything is back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And when you're ready, we'll switch to the other side. So now you're going to bring your left arm up to your face. You'll be resting your right cheek on the back of your left hand. Your right arm will be laying down beside your body. So as you're laying flat, starting with an inhale again, inhale. Exhale, gently lifting the head, chest, and elbow, looking over your left shoulder as you lengthen and lift the right leg. Hold for just a moment and super, super slow, releasing back down to the floor as slow and smooth as you can. And make sure to rest once you've finished. And repeating that same one again. Inhale first. Exhale, gently lift the head, the chest, and the elbow. Lengthening the right leg. Gently looking over the left shoulder. So just a small little twist in that upper body is that, think of bringing your elbow towards the roof just a little bit to help give you that little bit of a turn in this movement. Then super slowly begin to release. Super slow and smooth as you can. And when everything is back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And then repeating that same one more time. Inhale first. Exhale, gently lift the head, the chest, and the elbow. Lengthen and lift the right leg. Hold for just a moment. And super slow and smooth, begin to release. As slow and smooth as you can. Really working to smooth these movements out on the release. Make them smoother, more controlled every time you do them. When everything is back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And if you finish that movement and you're ready, we're going to roll back onto our backs. And once you're laying on your back again, you're going to bend both knees so your feet will be flat on the floor again. And I just want to quickly here, when I have you in this position, show you a couple more head and neck movements that you can do. These are ones that I really like to do in bed before I'm going to sleep. So there's two I'm going to talk you through here. So the first one is gently lifting your face towards the ceiling. Now, please remember, don't lift your head very high because your heads are going to be a whole lot heavier than you expect them to be. So you're going to lift your face up towards the ceiling by lifting your head at the most an inch off the floor, at the very most. So go ahead and lift your face up towards the ceiling, holding it for just a moment, and now super slowly letting your head come back down to the floor. Slow and smooth. Always remembering that the key to somatics is the slow, controlled release of the contraction. Once your head is down on the floor, remember to rest. Now, the other one that I like to do for, this one's more for the jaw, is I want you to think of bringing your your bottom jaw towards the ceiling. So you're gonna jut your bottom jaw outwards towards the ceiling. And now very slowly with control, let your jaw come back to its relaxed position. Super, super slow. Super slow and smooth. And when you've finished releasing that contraction, now what I'd like you to do is bring your teeth together gently. So don't bite hard, but just bring your teeth together into a soft bite. And now super slowly begin to release that as slow and smooth as you can. We're only going to do those once each, just because we are doing a half-hour class and we're going to run out of time super fast. And I wanted to quickly show you those. Actually, it was three things. So there was lifting the face, jaw going forward, and then gently biting the teeth together. All right, now we're going to bring the right arm up behind your head where it is comfortable. So anyone who has shoulder issues, you can either put a pillow under your elbow, or you can just leave your arms flat if it's not comfortable for you. So your left arm will be laying beside you, your right arm is behind your head or fingertips behind your ear. And we're going to start with an inhale and an arch. So inhale and arch, gently tilting your hips forward, rolling your tailbone down into the floor. And also think of pressing your shoulder blades into the floor and drawing them gently towards your tailbone. Now slowly begin to exhale and release that contraction. Super, super slow. And at the very end of the release, you're going to go into flatten by bringing your pubic bone towards your ribs to your pubic bone. And now I want you to gently lift your head, your chest, and your right elbow. And at the same time, bring your left knee towards your right elbow. So right elbow, left knee coming towards each other. Gently hold for a moment. And now super slowly lowering everything back down to the floor. If you need to use your left hand to help you with that leg, you certainly can. Remember that you're always staying in your comfort zone in somatics. Nothing should ever hurt or be straining in any kind of a way. Once everything is back down to the floor, make sure to rest. And we're going to do one more of those. Starting with our inhale again. Inhale and arch, gently rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor. At the same time, pulling your shoulder blades into the floor and down towards your tailbone. And go ahead and tilt your head back a little bit in this one as well. Hold for a moment. Exhale slowly, slowly begin to release the contraction in your neck and your back as slow and smooth as you can. And at the very end of that release, going into flatten, bringing your pubic bone to your ribs and your ribs to your pubic bone, gently lifting your head, your chest, and your elbow, bringing your right elbow towards your left knee, and at the same time, bringing your left knee towards your right elbow. Hold for a moment. Super slowly begin to release. Super slow and smooth. Releasing back down to the floor with as much control as you can. And remember to really pay attention for those little bumps or glitches in that release. And when you feel those, remind yourself that that is sensory motor amnesia. We also call that SMA. And that's kind of what we're watching for. So when you feel those little bumps or glitches, you may want to do one of two things. You can either recontract a little bit and then go back over that release, or just really pay attention to it on the next one. So we are going to do one more on that side, starting with the inhale again. Inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor, drawing your shoulders down towards your tailbone, gently tilting your head back. Hold for a moment. Super slowly releasing the contraction in the back of your neck. Slowly releasing in your back. And at the very end of the release, going into flatten, bringing your pubic bone to your ribs and your ribs to your pubic bone, lifting your head, your chest, and your right elbow, and doing a small tilt as you bring it over to your left knee, bringing your left knee towards your right elbow. They do not have to touch, everybody. It doesn't matter how close they are to each other at all. The important part is the releasing of this contraction. So go ahead, start to release. Super, super slow and smooth. And your elbow and your foot should be the last part to come back down to the floor. So your head will touch the floor and then your elbow will slowly, slowly open. Good, and when you finish that one, make sure to rest. And when you're ready, and without rushing, we're going to switch to the other side. So your left arm will come up behind your head as your right arm lengthens down beside your body. And we'll start with our inhale and arch again. Inhale and arch, rolling your tailbone down and forward into the floor, drawing your shoulder blades towards your tailbone, gently tilting your head back. Hold for a moment. Super slowly release the contraction as you exhale. Slowly releasing the contraction in your neck, your shoulders, and in your back. And at the very end of the release, going into flatten, bringing your pubic bone to your ribs and your ribs down to your pubic bone as your back flattens into the floor, lifting your head, your chest, and your left elbow and bringing them towards your right knee, bringing the right knee towards the left elbow. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to release. Slow and smooth as you can. That's me doing that, Natalka, if you're wondering. I switched you. I lost Courtney for a second, so I put you on the video. Okay, repeating that one again. Inhale and arch, gently tilting your hips forward, bringing your shoulders down towards your tailbone, tilting your head back. Hold for a moment. Exhale super slowly. Begin to release the contraction in your back. Slow and smooth as you can. At the end of the release, flattening your back into the floor by bringing your pubic bone towards your ribs to your pubic bone. Gently lift your head, your chest, and your elbow, bringing your left elbow and your right knee towards each other. Hold for a moment. Super slowly lowering back down to the floor, as slow and smooth as you can. Super, super slow and smooth. And when you're at the end of that release, make sure to rest. And we're going to do one more. Inhale and arch, gently rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor, bringing your shoulder blades into the floor and drawing them down towards your tailbone. Tilt your head back. Hold for a moment. Exhale, super slowly begin to release the contraction in your back. Slowly releasing the contraction in your neck. When you're at the end of the release, going into flatten, bringing your pubic bone to your ribs to your pubic bone, tucking your chin forward as you lift your head, your chest, and your elbow, bringing your left elbow and your right knee towards each other. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to release. Slow and smooth. And one thing I'd like to quickly point out as you're slowly releasing this one is you guys are going to hear me cueing you for some breath and then not. And if you're used to doing a class where they're talking you through all of the breathing, you might be thinking you should hold your breath or something. Please don't do that. Make sure you breathe comfortably through the whole thing. The breathing is not an important part. It just makes it easier sometimes. With contraction, it's usually easier to do on an exhale with certain movements of certain muscles. So always making sure to keep your breathing comfortable. Okay, now we're going to bring both hands behind our head and we're going to finish with, I think we have time to do 2 full arch and curls. So fingertips behind your head. And we're going to inhale and arch, gently rolling that tailbone forward and down into the floor, pressing your shoulder blades into the floor and drawing them along the floor towards your tailbone, tilting your head back. Hold for a moment. Exhale, super, super slowly, releasing the contraction in your back. As slow and smooth as you can. And at the very end of that release, you're going to go into flatten, bring your pubic bone to your ribs to your pubic bone, bring your elbows together, and now gently lift your head and chest into a soft curl position. Hold for just a moment. And now super slowly lowering. So you're slowly with control lowering your head back down to the floor. And once your head is touching the floor, super slow and smooth, let the elbows open. And make sure to rest when you finish that one. And we'll have time to do one more. So we're going to start with our inhale again. Inhale and arch, gently rolling your tailbone forward and down into the floor, drawing your shoulder blades into the floor and down towards your tailbone. Tilt your head back. Hold for a moment. Exhale and super, super slow, releasing the contraction in your back, releasing in your shoulders and your neck. And at the very end of the release, going into flatten, bringing your pubic bone to your ribs to your pubic bone, bringing your elbows together and gently lifting your head and chest into a soft curl position. Hold for a moment and super slowly begin to release, slowly lowering your head back down to the floor, really paying attention to the release in your abdominal muscles as your head is lowering. And once your head is touching the floor, paying attention to your pectoral or your chest muscles as your elbows slowly begin to open. Once your elbows are back to the floor, and make sure you don't rush, take your time. Your elbows are down, you're going to slowly straighten your legs and you're going to go back into a body scan, and I'm pretty sure it's going to cut me off here before I get to finish. So you guys all have done class with me at least once. Make sure you do your body scan starting at the top of your head again, moving all the way down through your body and just paying attention to how you feel now compared to when we started. And when you've finished your body scan, make sure to roll to your side to come up to sitting. Please don't just try to sit straight up. Make sure you roll to your side.